And we're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, waxers,
If you're willing to live stream.
welcome to the Nostalgia Wax live stream. My name is Frank, joined alongside by my friend, my co-host Josh. Wax on Josh.
Wax on Frank. Holy cow, it's been a minute.
It's been quite some time, my friend. I love Dan. I already saw it. I love the wax on there. And Josh, if you'd be so kind, we have guests here this evening for this inaugural stream.
Well, I couldn't come empty-handed, so I brought a couple of the best figure reviewers in the figure collecting community in Mr. Dandy1981 and AJ over at Third Floor Toys. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our first live stream Nostalgia Wax podcast thingamabob.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man, glad to be here.
Absolutely. So tonight we thought that it was apropos, since we are looking at changing up formats slightly and maybe moving into a live streaming space as opposed to traditional podcasting, to talk about different format changes that have happened in pop culture over the years. And the first one that comes to mind for me, I had a ton of cassettes. I was the geeky kid on the bus who had like an entire case of cassette tapes, and I would carry that with me to school, and I would listen to my Walkman nonstop.
Yeah.
And then I think it would have been the summer of '92 that CDs started becoming a thing, and they started to drop in price to the point where they were going to be somewhat affordable. And I remember asking my parents for a CD boombox for the Christmas of '92. And the first CDs that I got as Christmas gifts were Pearl Jam 10, great pick there. The Bodyguard soundtrack,
Nice.
one of the greatest selling albums of all time.
I'll always love you, Josh.
The Heights soundtrack.
Okay.
How do you talk to an angel?
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
And I think that was it. Yeah. So those were my three big gets right out of the gate that I was super excited about. What do you guys, were you of a similar mindset in terms of, did you have a lot of CDs? And when you moved into CDs, what exactly were you looking at picking up? What were your must-haves, as it were?
You know, it wasn't me specifically that had a lot of cassettes. I distinctly remember buying the 1993 Green Day Dookie album on actual cassette. I do remember that. My dad had the briefcase. I'm sure that's what you're talking about, Josh. He had the briefcase that had all of the cassettes inside of it, which I remember him carrying around to parties. He used to DJ any family event. When it comes to CDs, and I can't remember if we've discussed this on a previous Nostalgia Wax podcast, my two first CDs were the debut album from Rex and Effects.
Oh, that was a good one.
and MC Hammer's Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em. My two debut CDs, and I absolutely rocked the hell out of both of them.
All I want to do is zoom, a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
Just shake your rump.
Dude, that's a classic. I mean,
The original rump shake.
and that song was huge.
It was.
For all the wrong reasons. I love it.
Yeah.
AJ, how about you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I still have at least one of those cassette tape briefcases. It's made out of like brown, like fake leather.
Yep, that's the exact one. That's the one everyone had.
Mine has stickers all over it, also, and I have like some other like carrying cases for cassette tapes. Some bigger ones that hold like, I don't know, 60, 80 tapes in it. Shoulder strap and everything.
Oh.
But in our house, my dad was a big.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. AJ paused. We lost AJ for a sec.
He'll be back.
He just froze with such a confused look on his.
It was perfect. I absolutely love it.
So Dan, obviously there's some physical media behind you.
Yes.
Did you have a similar experience transitioning from something like cassettes into CDs?
I did. Hey, AJ's back. There it is.
Oh, we got AJ back.
Hey.
Welcome back to the party, AJ.
So
Hey.
I think you cut out right around the time that you had like a few cases that had like shoulder straps and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we had a laser disc like early in the game. So my dad had CDs in 83, 84.
Ooh.
I had two older sisters that were big into music also. So I had my own CD player by like 88 roughly.
Wow.
And the first CDs that I remember buying were Metallica's Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets and Injustice for All.
You cannot go wrong with those three albums.
Good albums, yeah.
Heavy hitters fresh out of the gate.
Oh, and also I remember, I think it was, well, yeah, it was probably that summer of 88, but I think the album came out in 87. My grandparents bought me Def Leppard's Hysteria on CD, which is an awesome album.
How old were you?
I was 11 in 88.
High quality stripper music right out of the gate at 11 years old.
Get them started young.
I love it.
Okay, so AJ mentioned Laserdisc, and just it had to have been like hour and a half ago. I was talking to my wife. We were scrolling through movies because she was looking at something to watch, and she scrolled across the movie Death Becomes Her, which fantastic. I love that movie.
Goldie Hawn,
she goes, "Oh, I remember watching this on Laserdisc." And of all the movies that you could get on Laserdisc, like that's the movie that she had. Death Becomes Her was on Laserdisc.
Those things were expensive as hell, too.
I know, right?
Oh, God,
yeah.
Wow. So, Dan, it looks like you have about 1 million DVDs behind you.
I'm a DVD guy, DVD Blu Ray. Yeah, no, I was thinking, weren't the Laserdiscs like $30, which is even expensive for a Blu Ray now?
Mm-hmm.
Right, weren't they? Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yes, no, I've blown through these throughout the years, like what my tastes have come and gone as far as DVDs goes. But while we're on the subject, cassettes, I still have a couple of them too. The one where you used to get dual cassette tape. You get the one and then you like mix songs. Or I'd sit there for hours just. I want this song from this album, this song from this cassette, this song from this. You know what I'm talking about?
Mixtape all day long.
You had to give girls mixtapes too.
So I said,
which one of us didn't give a girl a mixtape?
No, I gave too many girls mixtapes.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got quite a few.
Have that time back. You got quite a few. Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't sound the way I meant it to. I mean, I did. For some reason, it seemed like every other girlfriend that I dated, that's what they would do. Like, give me a mixtape.
Heck yeah.
Like, you're not getting one back, just so you know. But thanks.
Well, I mean, at least it was something where they were giving them to you as opposed to, Dan.
Yeah.
If you really want to look forward to a good time this weekend, we should probably have some music to set the mood, and then put you on the spot.
I want. Let's stay on this for a second, Dan. So. You had girls giving you mixtapes. Now, please tell me that you married one of them.
No, wait. No, not initially. I think Tara had given me, my wife had given me a mixed CD, but it was long after we were married.
Okay, well, still the same.
So that counts. That counts.
When I first started dating my wife, we started dating in June. Went on a few dates, and by August, she gave me a mixed CD, and she was like, "Hey, this is so what I'm into, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Oh shit, wow, that's really cool that you gave me a mixed CD, So of course, I had to make her one, and she was like, "Yeah, your music's trash." But
Nah.
I was just getting ready to say it was probably a test. It was probably like, let's see if he actually plays any of this.
Right.
If you're going to stick around, if he makes the cut.
Right. Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
pretty cool.
So, what do you remember any of the songs that were on the tape she gave you? She's not going to watch this, so you won't get in trouble. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Me? Do I
Yeah.
remember? Yeah, it was. She listens to a lot of like I don't even know what you call that stuff, like Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
That kind of music and
Sure.
a little bit of hip hop.
Okay.
So it was that kind of stuff, and then there was some like really old classic rock stuff that I did, her parents used to play, Yeah, I mean, it actually wasn't a bad mix. It just wasn't really my style of music. And mine was more or less all heavy metal, and she was like, yeah, what is this noise? But you make it work.
Did you break her down eventually? Did she finally give in to a little bit of heavy metal? Like, what's the compromise that you guys reached? Sepultura?
Yeah. Well, no, she will not listen to that. But say that was August. In September, the month later, she went with me to see Lamb of God. And she was in the pit for like 25 seconds maybe. And then she was like, yeah, dude, I'm out of here.
Hey, still 25 seconds. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive that she went from that's trash to, hey, let's go watch them.
Right.
More impressive that she was able to leave the mosh pit of her own accord. So
right.
it's excellent.
So, now, she doesn't necessarily like, she's not going to like put it in when she's in the car by herself, but she can appreciate the music and the skill of the guitar players and drummers and whatnot. And she's been to a ton of metal concerts with me, which is cool, and, to pay it back, I go see, bands that she likes, because live music, whether you like it or not, live music is generally fun to be at,
Yeah.
Agreed. I went to a bachelor party down in Nashville a couple years ago, and I'm not the biggest fan of country music, but we went down to a bar there. They were playing country on. We went to, I can't remember the name of it. It's that famous bar in Nashville that has like the 3 stories, and each story is, anyway, live bands on every single story of it, all playing country music. I dug it all. So
yeah,
I guess it all depends on.
Is this the cowboy picture?
Yeah, this was the cow. Yeah, this.
Oh,
the
we're gonna have to
picture
find
was
that
there.
one. I'll have to dig that one out. So Dan, you mentioned that you made a lot of mixtapes.
Oh yeah.
What was your go-to song for just making them panties drop?
I don't think I. You know what? I don't think I had one specifically. I didn't have a go-to. Maybe a channel, a local channel that was always generic enough that nothing was offensive or off-putting. You know what I mean? But that's about it. Yeah.
So interesting that you say that, because with a format change going from cassettes into CD, it really kind of killed the whole. I don't know if you guys did this, but recording songs off the radio or recording songs off of MTV, like when they do their top 10 and all that, and just sitting there waiting, and somebody would talk just as your song is getting ready to come on, and you'd be like, "No, I hate you."
Screw it all up.
All up. But once CDs came around, that kind of went out the window, and you had to resort to actually finding a physical copy that you could then record the song and go from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, 1996, I bought a CD burner for like $850.
Whew. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was in the Navy at the time, and I was the only dude on base that had a CD burner. So I was ripping CDs and charging dudes $10, $15 a CD.
Oh, well, then it probably paid for itself not to
Get your money back. Yeah.
into your ownership.
Easy.
Of it.
Within the first month of within the first week of you having that.
Dude, I was making money,
What
I
was
was making mixes, or just burning straight whole albums for people,
Do you recall what your biggest seller was Like, what did everybody? Oh, AJ, you got to hook me up with this.
Well, at the time, a lot of people were listening to Korn, Marilyn Manson.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I can't remember. There's a lot of metal. There's a lot of metalheads on the bass, and then I was making like older like rap mixes for some of the other guys. Dre, Snoop Dogg. All that early '90s stuff. So
The
that was pretty
classics.
cool. That was pretty cool.
Just want to shout out real quick our good friend Salacious in the house. So Bob gave Allison Morgan a mixtape when he was in primary school. It had Meatloaf, 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. Fine song. She threw it in the bin. Bob was devastated. He was 10 years old. Hey, Allison Morgan, don't be a bitch. All right? just say. That's our guy.
Nice.
Don't go messing with Bob.
She threw it in. That's terrible.
So another format change sort of is happening right now in pop culture with the Masters of the Universe Revelation show. Dan, have you had a chance to watch the Masters of the Universe Revelation show, or do you not have any interest?
I watched it, but I was kind of curious, so I popped it on for about 5 minutes. I think I got to the about 5 minutes of it. Yes,
And then
not
you
bad.
checked out?
It's not. I'm not putting it down. That's not my thing. It's not my thing. That's all.
What did you think of the first 5 minutes?
It was I guess it was set up to be, in my opinion, like maybe kind of similarly cheesy, like the original.
Sure.
Just because but even more so. Like, I don't know if it was just me thinking, wow, this is really over the top. Or if it was just their effort to really, catch that audience that was looking for the nostalgia, which they did well. I just, like I said, if I wanted to watch the old episodes, I would go back through. I tried to watch some old G.I. Joe not too long ago, just sitting down trying to show my daughter that. And I was like, it's fun, it's funny, but it's not as cool as I thought it was back then,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's terrible. Is what it is.
Yes, it is.
I feel like anytime you try to go back and you try to, what that show was in your mind is so infinitely better than what was actually on screen when you go back to try to recapture the glory.
Yeah,
for sure.
How they punched people from halfway across the room, and some of the fight scenes I was watching, like, it's just funny.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, oh, that's cool.
So AJ, I know that you've seen some of those figures. What are your thoughts about like the new line of Revelations figures versus like say the Origins or the classics?
Well, I definitely like them better.
The Revelations ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I didn't even really like them originally back in the 80s, the He-Man stuff. By the time He-Man was coming out, I was already kind of moving out of toys and, playing more sports and, hitting on my sister's, friends and whatnot,
Cheers.
So I watched the cartoons and stuff, but I didn't really like He-Man, And I think I had that video from the early 2000s, the Four Horsemen, when they made, and I liked the way those looked. And these newer ones kind of look like those also, in a sense, and they're super articulated also, which is something I definitely like, and something I hated about the original figures that, your arms just come up and, there's no bendy elbows or any of that kind of stuff. I don't like figures like that personally.
Yeah. I love that new Battle Cat. $50 feels a little bit steep, but it's a good looking figure.
Sure.
Super
so
dope.
I watched the first episode yesterday. And again, I didn't really watch the original, so it seemed fine to me. I like the animation.
Yeah.
I didn't watch. I don't know how many episodes there are. I didn't watch them all. I just watched the first one. So
there's 5 for the first half. It seems to be the consensus right now, without doing any type of spoilers, is people feel very lied by Kevin Smith. So they feel that he kept saying that it was very much a He-Man show, and what they got was He-Man's in the show, but probably not the extent that the fans would like to see him. So I liked it. I thought it was pretty solid. I'm all about like exploring more parts of the story and doing things to keep things interesting. I think that very much the Revelation story arc, it felt to me similar to what they say about Superman. It's very difficult to tell a good Superman story because Superman has all this power and he's just going to destroy everything that comes along. So you need to find a way to put the human element into Superman. And I think that Kevin Smith has always kind of talked about that, like what he had written for a Superman movie and things like that, and how he would tell an excellent Superman story is like you have to strip away everything that makes him Superman and then eventually rebuild that. And it feels very much like that's what he's doing with Revelations, as far as like, let's take He-Man off the board early, and you still get a lot of He-Man because they do flashbacks and things like that. And it's a story of how we're going to get He-Man back into our lives and things like that. And I don't think people were eager to spend so much time with Teela as they wanted to be with He-Man.
Okay.
Bonds, you are getting lit up by Justin.
I saw that about the toys.
Yeah. So that Bonds guy doesn't have any toys displayed. I'll loan out my Batman toys for him for the next episode.
I mean, I'll take them. I'll put them back there. That's fine. I'm not. I don't have any toys. That's my toys consist of video games and arcades in my basement. That's the extent of my toys. I'm not as into the whole toy idea as you gentlemen are. So not that I don't respect that you have the toys. I mean, that's a whole thing.
You said great. Arcade. Do you have like arcade cabinets? Like
I have one arcade cabinet, and it just houses all of my arcades. It's just a big 4-player kind of
cool
arcade set, and it's got Miss Pac-Man on the one side, it's got Mortal Kombat 2 on the other side, and
nice.
It's and a trackball. We're ready to go at any point in time. So, gentlemen, anytime you want to come over, we have fun.
I would love to have, an arcade in the house also. I don't know if you guys have talked about that before, but like, what happened to the arcades? Yeah. Like in the 80s, you could go into places and it'd be hundreds of cabinets, and if you had like $3, man, and you had any skill, you could play all day.
Yep.
I miss those places.
And we have a local place here that you pay like a $10 cover charge. Mm-hmm. And it's got all the retro games like the Predator, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can't think of any other ones, but anything from that you can think of from the 80s or the 90s. And they kind of cycle through them eventually, but they've got them all rigged to you just walk up and hit start. Of course, you're drunk because they're serving drinks and food, but it's limit. It's unlimited. So you pay cover, then I'm sure they make the money somewhere. They've also got one of those little. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
100%. Okay. I can't understand the technology behind it, but basically it's one that's rigged up to have like every single old Atari game that you could possibly think of.
Right.
And they've got like a bunch of those, and then they made makeshift control panels across the bar, so you can sit down. And just
we have I think it's called Circuit. It's an arcade bar. We have here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's not like what it was when I was a kid, but it's something,
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see those places pop up every now and then, those barcades.
You see them at the beach sometimes. I don't know if you guys go to the beach.
Did you say at the beach?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They have arcades at most like major East Coast beaches.
That's
know,
awesome.
They're not as good, but
Really?
yeah, they have them.
Yeah, they're still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Sean Solo 8 stopping by. Good to see you,
Sean.
sir. Enjoy
Sean, nice to see you.
the great show this evening over on Three Men and a Monkey Lizard. If you guys aren't familiar, make sure you go and check his channel out, as well as the Three Men and a Monkey Lizard stream that rotates amongst Dude's Nerdery, Salacious Rum, and Oakhurst Studios that it was on tonight. Excellent work, guys. So, since we're talking about video games, we had a number of different cartridges throughout the years, and then Sony, I think, technically the first one to introduce discs, or are we giving that credit to Sega with the Dreamcast?
Sega CD.
Or
No.
if we go back further
the
to
Sony
Philips?
PlayStation would have it first. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the first one I had that had a disc.
The PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
same
you don't
here.
count
I think
computers in
Sony
the CD.
perfected it,
You don't count
Sega.
PC, yeah. PlayStation for sure.
but Sega did it first, though, right? Didn't they?
With the
I
Sega
don't know.
CD?
Yeah, they had that one that attached to the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, the
Oh,
first.
yeah.
Additional one.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
you're
have
right.
that.
Sega CD did it first.
Yeah, I didn't have
Well done,
that.
Sega. So obviously that took cartridges into the disc format, upped the graphics exponentially. Sega, to Sean's point, Sega had an add-on. I know that they had for sure the 32X. I think the statute of limitations is out, and I may have found that by illegal means in my car one day. I love the hell out of the 32X, and then they went to the Sega CD, and that thing was always out of my price range, and I could never afford it. But there was an awesome WWF Royal Rumble game, I think, that was out for Sega CD, and I would love to be able to go back and play that because it had a lot. I think it had the head shrinkers on there, and that was like one of the few places you could ever play as the head shrinkers. So excellent.
Anytime I think of Sega CD, I think of Night Trap.
Uh,
It's immediate.
Yeah, the live action was the first one that they had like recorded people.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
Did that also come under fire with? Was that Tipper Gore one after that as well around that same time
yeah.
frame?
Yeah,
Where
I think
we
that
just
was-
that was one of them.
censor everything.
It was one of the ones that led to the ESRB rating system, basically.
Yeah.
Does that thing even work? Like, do people actually card kids when they're trying to buy video
Well,
games?
I don't know about
GameStop will.
anymore, but I don't know if you know. I was a manager at Toys R Us for years. And if a grandma came in there to buy Grand Theft Auto, I'd be like, "Who are you buying this for?" Because I know you're not playing it. And they'd say, "Oh, it's for my 8-year-old," and I'd say, "Well, I'm not selling it to you then. Sorry."
Good for
And
you.
kids would come up to the counter, with Halo and GTA and whatever M-rated game, and I'd be like, "Dude, get the hell out of here! I'm not selling you that crap."
AJ, you sound like the guy who didn't sell me Doggy Style in 1993 when I put that up.
Music,
on the counter.
I didn't agree with music having the rating on it, and I got thrown out of the mall once for trying to buy. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like you had to be 18 to buy this CD, and I was like, "What the f?"
18.
It had the parental advisory sticker on it, and the dude had like Camelot music. If you guys ever heard of that
Camelot,
shithole, he wouldn't sell it to me, and I freaked out on that dude. But video games, I was a little more of a stickler about that. I don't think if you're 10, you shouldn't be playing GTA.
I agree.
That's just me.
I had to look at a lot of stuff. All right, so now that I've got some grandkids in the house, and I start to see things a little bit differently through the eyes of trying to be a protective influence in their lives, it shocks me some of the stuff that kids are trying to watch nowadays. Like the things that come through on YouTube, all of us excluded, because this is definitely high quality content coming through the airwaves. But my goodness, there is some adult content that sneaks its way into the strangest places with the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And my daughter right now is 9, and not a day goes by that she's not asking, "Dad, can I watch TikTok now?" can I download TikTok now?
Oh.
Am I ready for TikTok now? And I'm just like, no, no, no.
Right.
Ask me in 5 years.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And it's still got a disclaimer on it.
I think the appropriate response is none of us are.
Ready for TikTok?
Yeah, none.
Yeah. The Panasonic, Sean's comment there. I don't remember that one.
And then Salacious.
Panasonic 3DO.
Yeah, Salacious
Yeah,
has
yeah.
that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So Sega Mega CD, Sega Saturn, Amiga, CD32, which I'm not familiar with,
Panasonic
and then
3DO.
Panasonic 3DO for sure. Definitely remember that.
I didn't have none of that stuff. I remember the Saturn, but I didn't have any of that stuff.
You were busy ripping CDs.
Yeah, man.
You had no time for that.
Yeah, man.
I think that I actually had. I think we rented the Sega Saturn quite a bit from the video store. Did you guys ever rent any systems from the video store?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had Nintendo in our house, and I rented the Genesis a few times from Blockbuster.
Nice. So they're doing all kinds of remakes now. Is there a game either that has been remade on new consoles that you guys are like really happy with, that you had to go back and you had to add it to your collection? Are there ones that you guys have been disappointed with? Because it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of original ideas out there in terms of gaming these days, and that probably holds true to a lot of things, Hollywood related as well. Hence the reason we get so many reboots.
For me, I wish I could replay that Final Fantasy VII remake, but I'm an Xbox guy, so tough luck for me.
Is that exclusive right now?
Yeah.
It's isolated on the PlayStation right now.
But yeah, I would love to play that because I love that game on PlayStation 1. So.
Dan, how about you?
I think
You're a big
there's
gamer?
a lot of them that I'd love to see redone, remastered, or even updated. I can't say that there's a whole lot that's not out there that I would like what you were saying as far as recent. I mean, I'm going way back, like Contra. I'd love to see another Contra or an actual really good G.I. Joe game, not like the one they just came out with.
That one was trash.
It was pretty bad. I tried because I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it. Night Trap, of course, since you mentioned it. I'd take another round of that. Oh, did you ever play Dodgeball? Super Dodgeball.
Yes.
I want that one back. I want that one redone. That was fun.
It was essentially the same game as the Super Spike Volleyball, except it was you were throwing the actual ball as opposed to setting and bumping and all that good stuff with volleyball.
Oh,
it was essentially the exact same thing. It was great.
Yeah, I love that. It's each character had its own special power toss or whatever it was.
The different countries had the different, like their skill set was slightly different, and they tweaked them a little bit. I think I've got that on my Raspberry Pi system. I'll have to go back and take a look at that. Sean's 08 unlocking automatic baller status with used to rent an extra PlayStation to play 2-player Ridge Racer on 2 TVs. My goodness.
Ridge Racer.
Love it. Frank, you are the resident gamer of the show. Enlighten us with, because you, more than anyone else I know, made the switch into digital sooner than anyone else.
Yeah. So I've been digital gaming ever since you were able to download digital games, and that was probably end of the speaking on the Xbox side of things, end of the 360 area into the Xbox One. And yeah, I think I want to roughly say that I was looking at my Xbox One drive the other day. I think I have like and this is the whole digital era now versus when you were a younger kid. I think I've got about 578 games in my Xbox library. And
Wow.
I think about young
Wow.
Frank playing on his, NES and having, we talk about the cassette tape, packages. I had maybe it fit 12 NES cartridges in there, and I think I only had 10 of them filled up. I remember that Frank, who had 10 games, who he cycled through all the time, into this now. And yeah, the digital age is, it's nice. What I do worry about when it comes to digital games, though, is the fact that the preservation of games sometimes it scares me a little bit, because the constant updating of things and making sure things are better, running at their best available system, sometimes things get lost in the mix. Like think about Destiny, the original Destiny. That's not the same anymore because it's been updated. How do we preserve some of that stuff from the past? And even when it goes back to, we talked about, Dan, you mentioned the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
You can download ROMs and stuff like that. Some of these companies don't even have their original files anymore, and some of them just run off of ROMs. It's like, at what point in time do we lose that original gaming nostalgic feeling, if you will?
Right.
So that's I love the convenience of digital gaming, but it just scares me in the future.
Speaking of Destiny, that's actually the only game I've played in the last probably 4 or 5 years. It's Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 little kids, so I don't have a lot of time to play games like I wish I did anymore. And Destiny's just been the only game I have played.
So I remember Destiny being like this huge thing, Frank, that you were super stoked about, and you kept telling me how much Destiny was going to change gaming forever. And then it came out and it went over like a fart in church. Yeah. So you mentioned now that they've changed it so drastically.
Okay.
Have they changed it for the better, or is it still?
No. What I'm saying is, and Destiny did kind of revolutionize gaming in terms of massive multiplayer, like people just constantly online playing, gaming, feeding the machine of digital content. What I'm saying is, the original Destiny, if you were to have picked it up, I don't know whenever it released back in the day, it had Peter Dinklage, who was voicing Ghost. Yes, thank you.
Which is like a little robot or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Accompanied you.
And that's completely gone now. If you were to download this, even if you were to buy the game in store and you put it in and it says, hey, we need an update, you update it, he's gone from it. So I guess that's where I go back to preserving, what's the original take on the game? What's the original content? How does that get preserved when we're constantly updating things?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined at this time by our good friend Brandon, Prentice Ewok. How did the
Brandon, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Brandon Bonds Brandon.
Hi there.
Now that the introductions are out of the way, Brandon, how did the Bad Batch stream go this evening?
Good. Yep. It was
all right.
Pretty exciting.
As well as it could go. Yeah.
So, Brandon, we are talking about format changes and getting up to speed with. Frank was just sharing his experience with Destiny and how Destiny is such a drastically different game today versus when it first launched. Are you familiar with Destiny at all?
I played Destiny when I was in college with a couple buddies, so it's probably been 4 years since I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right? I'm trying to think.
But then when it came out, then right?
I think it had been out for a couple of years by the time I even got to it, and I didn't play all that much into it, but I was pretty heavy for about 3-4 months in it.
So Destiny was hyped up by Frank, by Bonds, more than any game, I think, prior to this. It was bad. It was really bad. And I remember one thing that he kept going back to was, they say that you're going to be able to play Destiny for years and you will never encounter another person in this game because it's like next to impossible to locate anyone else. And within the first 12 hours, I think the servers being online, people were finding each other. And I was like, wait a second, what's happening here?
Well, I feel like, Josh, you're confusing Destiny with No Man's Sky.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is.
No, I am confusing it with No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Damn.
No Man's Sky for sure. I was on the hype train with No Man's Sky. Yes, that within, like you said, Josh, 12 hours, I think someone ran into someone else, but yes.
Well, then speaking of format change, we'll do a topic change then. Dan, since you have so much physical media there behind you, are you one of these folks who have a fear that when they turn off the servers one day and there's no more digital copies, or you won't have access to those digital copies, do you feel that you will be the go-to resource for content?
I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm not going to deny there's a little bit of that, possibly underlying the fear part. Mostly, it's just because I get frustrated when I have to be online. Yeah. I mean, what if my kid's chewing up the bandwidth, or the internet's out and I want to play a game. Now I have to go online to do it, because you are pretty hindered. Even those ones, the digital one, like, and I'm not talking about like Modern Warfare where it's it's only online, or Fortnite or something like that. But I just want to sit down and zone out brainlessly with the video game, and I don't want to log in to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's not enough options for that. Where I mean, you think about things like the couch co-ops. Where are those anymore? You don't get those kind of games anymore. It's always they want you on their server or whatever. So
I think couch co-ops were one of the things, because like that's essentially similar to like the multiplayer on like GoldenEye, right? Where you like split screen type
screens.
Yeah. So that was actually what got me out of first-person shooters before they even started, because while everybody has fond memories of GoldenEye, and everybody usually tends to love GoldenEye, and they spent many years playing GoldenEye, I had a couple of scumbag little cousins that were nothing but campers and would grief you. So the second you would die, they would be waiting at all the spawn points, just waiting to take you out as soon as you spawn back into existence. And for that reason, for a number of years, I despised first-person shooters, first-person anything. And it wasn't until Skyrim came along that I put my foot back into the first-person world.
Campers and screen watchers are the worst human beings on the planet.
It's garbage. It's just straight garbage. So
hey,
Dan,
Brandon tagged me. I'm gonna let you tag me out. I'm gonna hop off here, guys.
All right,
Dan. Pleasure having you.
Nice to meet you. Nice seeing you.
Nice meeting you, Bonds. See you guys.
See ya.
All right, we got Vern in the house, Oakhurst Studios. Thanks for stopping by, Vern. Appreciate you.
So, because you were talking about Dan with physical media, do you guys not have that kind of stuff anymore?
So I've cut down considerably. So what you saw behind Dan, for a while I had like a big, huge unit that housed CDs and DVDs. It was probably 3-4 times the size of what he had. And I got rid of a lot of my stuff. CDs more than anything I've gotten rid of. DVDs, I purged a lot of them. I still have a decent chunk of my collection. A lot of stuff like concert DVDs that you really can't get anywhere else.
Right.
animation collections, like season passes of TV, things like that. And a lot of the reason that I've kept some of those was strictly because of like the bonus features, and like a lot of that bonus content just isn't available.
Right.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of stuff. And most of the time now when I choose to get a game through Bonza's influence, a lot of times I choose to go digital just for the sheer convenience.
Convenience factor.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of Blu-rays still. I've got a lot of DVDs. For some reason, I haven't been able to fully commit to switching over to digital movies, I guess. So if I like a movie, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. But then at the same time I buy the Blu-ray, it's got the digital download copy connected with it. So then I download the digital thing, and then I connect it to my Vudu, which actually it's popping up here. Yeah. And I never watched the actual physical copy, but for some reason I can't not buy the physical copy of a movie yet. I don't know. I've gotten over it with games. Games I'm fine with. Music I'm completely fine with. But for some reason, movies bring me back in if it's a movie I really want.
Right. Well, yeah, I understand. I'm kind of with you on that. I probably still have 500 CDs. For whatever reason, I just don't want to get rid of them. But I haven't bought a new CD in a decade, probably, because music, I don't mind getting it digitally,
Yeah.
But all my CDs, I just don't want to get rid of them. And movies, I still buy them. If I really like that movie, I go out and buy the movie. But then I do the digital copy, and we end up, that's what we watch, But I like just to have it, something about just having that. In games, well, the last game I bought was Destiny 2, a physical one, and anything else has been digital. But I haven't gotten rid of my old game, so either, I don't know. It feels like you paid $50-$60 for that game, and GameStop's only going to give me $8 or some shit. I'll just keep it.
So I think the thing with me that kind of frustrates me is games went through this cycle where you couldn't give games away. Like the GameStop thing made sense because like people just weren't buying used games, and like the market was extremely low. And then there was like this renaissance with gaming where all of a sudden, if you had like older stuff and you hadn't sold it to GameStop yet, like you could really cake up on a secondary market if you sold it on eBay or somewhere else. Yeah. So I think that kind of like scared a lot of people, and like, wait, maybe I shouldn't be getting rid of a lot of this old stuff. Right. Brandon, I know you're huge on like books, like you have a huge book collection. What about movies, CDs, things like that?
Music, I'm completely digital. I mean, like my dad, birthday presents, Christmas presents, stuff like that. I'll get him a couple of albums, and give those to him because he's got an iPod, but he loves to just throw in a CD and listen to it. So, and he's got a big stereo that has a whole bunch of different CD changers. So he's still on that, but I pretty much just listen to anything on Spotify or like YouTube when I'm just around. Especially since cars have, evolved to where you can just Bluetooth your phone. I don't need to have CDs there. When it comes to movies, though, I just put 2 or 3 big boxes of DVDs in the basement. And then I'm trying to get it to where the only stuff that I have is like the Blu Rays or the movie collections or the series collections. But usually those come with a digital copy. And then, like you said, that's exactly what I watch. But yeah, I mean, this bookshelf behind me used to almost be all movies. And then I slowly moved it and took it out for room for figures and stuff like that. But yeah, books, I listen to the audiobook versions of them too, but there's something about having that physical book, the physical media in your hand. But video games, I think I have like 6 physical PlayStation 4 games. Mm-hmm. And then everything else is digital. especially with the PlayStation Plus stuff where you download them once a month, and then it's 90% of my inventory for that is digital, and I have no problem with that, because the discs don't really do much, and you don't need it to play the game. And I feel like that it definitely changed, because I always used to want to make sure that I had a physical copy of it, and then for a while what I'd do is I'd play the game, and then if it was a game that I really, really wanted, I'd play it, I'd finish it, I'd trade it in as soon as I could once I'd finish it, so I got good value to get another game. And then whenever that other one went on sale, I'd pick it back up so I could have it in my digital collection. So it really is kind of a mix and a match depending on the medium.
There's almost a game within the gaming industry of when you need to get out on a title to maximize your return on your investment with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So catching up on the chat here a little bit. So Sean, PlayStation Plus since day one, it adds up. I think I'm also technically a PlayStation Plus member since day one, and I would agree.
You've been downloading your titles, Josh?
I add them all to my library. I do not add them to my PlayStation, but I do make sure every month that I add them to my library, so I'm ready to go in the event I decide to dive back in. And yeah, I think in all honesty, for the value of PlayStation Plus, I think that you definitely get your money back in terms of the free titles that they offer up on a monthly basis. And
either
the discounts.
PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold, whatever it is, or I'm not sure what it is right now, but yeah, it adds up.
Yeah. Vern, I have all my blunts and DVDs in a box. I have everything in iTunes. That was my high school days. I don't do that stuff anymore, Vern. So just leave that there. Oh, Blu Rays. I see. Gotcha. So Sean, movies were an easy switch for me. 4K was cheaper for about a year. So 4K, that's the only thing that I buy anymore. So if there's a big blockbuster movie that I absolutely want, and I don't even have a 4K TV, so I'm really trying to future-proof my movie collection, because 4K, you're just not going to be able to stream effectively in 4K with the data caps and everything else that are out there as far as your ISPs and whatnot. So that kind of scares me from that standpoint. So whenever I have to pick up a new movie, I try to go with the 4K version that will also come with the digital copy and the Blu-ray as well. And that's what I found to work. You can usually wait and pick it up on Amazon. Amazon usually around the holidays does pretty decent sales where it's 2 for $30 on 4Ks a lot of times. So
yeah,
just go in and fill out your Marvel library or whatever else it is that you want to do that way. Vern, you don't have to lie. We know that there's still blunts in your boxes.
It's past the point now.
Bong hits and spell correct. See, they don't do this stuff on their own stream. They waited till we started ours, and they come in to start talking cannabis hour.
But another format, Brandon, you're big into books, and I have a lot of books also. One of my goals in life was to have my own personal library, which I'm severely lacking on that because I buy action figures and whatnot. But I probably have 300 to 350 books, I don't know what year it was, 6, 7, 8 years ago. My mom wanted a Nook, I think is what it was called, or whatever the Barnes and Noble's version of that.
Sure. Yeah,
sounds right.
So I bought her one, and to this day she still carries that thing with her anytime she leaves the house. Anytime she goes anywhere, she takes it with her, and she'll go to the library and she can get whatever book on it. Her book club, all the other ladies, they all have some version of that. They'll get that book and have it on there and just read it on there, but for me, I still like flipping pages, and smelling the book, You know, if that makes any sense, you know.
It does.
No, it makes total sense. 100%. There's a romance factor to it, right? You have a relationship with that content in a physical, like, you're not getting sexual with the book unless it's a good book. But there's just something about like holding it in your hands, being able to, like you said, the smell of the book and just turning the sound of turning a page. It's quite literally, you put that in your head when you're having a bad day, and you, like, I'm the type of person where I try to speak it into existence. I'm like, let's just turn the page on whatever happened, and we're going to move forward. And I literally hear that in my head every time I try to reset if I'm having a bad day. So I don't think that there's anything weird about what you said at all. I'm 100% on board with you. If I need to read a book, I would much rather read a physical copy of that book.
I can tell you,
it's weird. With comic books, I've switched to the Marvel Unlimited.
Really?
And I'll read them on my tablet.
Within the last, I believe about 2 years ago, I went through the Harry Potter series with my daughter, and I can't imagine either going Audible with that or reading it on an iPad, Kindle, whatever it is. You know, we had the physical books, and I sat down in the bed, and every night we read a little bit of it, and it was that whole physical act of her, you know, like turning through the page and reading it together. You don't get the same effect. You don't get the same feeling if you're on the on the Kindle.
For sure.
Do you guys watch Mythic Quest at all?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
It's with what's his name from It's Always Sunny, right?
Yes. Rob McElhenney, he's the one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So without spoiling anything, there was a recent episode in which two people who have had like kind of butted heads in the past, they went and they kind of came to an agreement or a better understanding of each other's perspectives. And they settled this lifelong feud that they had going amongst themselves. And they ended it by sitting in the one guy's garden, and it's about like the gaming industry, and these guys were writers for what ended up becoming video games. And he asked the guy who's dying, would you please read your book to me? This unpublished book that this guy ended up being a big fan of, and he wanted to like hear it from the author, straight from the author. And like, that's I picture everything you're saying about, you know, you don't want to hear like a Harry Potter book on tape or anything like that. Very much the same way. It's kind of like you throw a log on the fire and you just sit back and you kind of relax and you take in the entire experience. The page turns, everything else, and it adds an entire different dimension to that as a storytelling device, quite literally.
Right.
I think I was always a big book person, and I was always like a read it, physical book, turn the page type person. And then my senior year of college, I got a really, really bad concussion, and I realized that I couldn't read books after, like focusing on the words. So depending on the color of the page, my eyes would focus and unfocus. And for about a year and a half after, I struggled reading books. So I switched to the audiobooks, and that's when I found, especially with a lot of the Star Wars audiobooks, it's like a audio drama. Like they add the sounds in, that people do different voices. So I've enjoyed that, but I've gotten to the point where I can read things, I can read comics, I can read the books now again without having issues. But for a long time, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to read again. And that's when I experimented with the audio books. And now that I've got those there as a backup, if I ever have a hard time reading a certain book, I can go with the audio book. But I mean, my goal is to have at some point all of the legends and all of the current canon Disney books all on a bookshelf in the order that they were, released, or timeline.
Ooh, timeline versus when they were released.
Yeah, timeline.
Even more difficult. Do you have a number? Like, what does that count at? currently?
Oh, Jesus.
Are you familiar?
I'm not, but
Okay.
I will figure that out. It's a lot, especially right now.
Ballpark it.
Geez, I don't even know because I don't know the number of Legends books because there were tons.
And the Legends book, for those of you who don't know, those were the ones that basically, when Disney purchased Lucasfilm, they scrapped everything and said, "Ha-ha, all that stuff that you've been reading for all these years, you technically weren't reading it anymore."
It's got to be hundreds. I mean, I probably
There
have
were.
100 myself, of the Legends books.
Yeah.
There was that one series, the New Jedi Order, that was like 30 books by itself.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I want to say the new canon stuff is already into 60 plus books, and I mean that's just since 2014. So in 7 years. So,
I'm not gonna lie. The new canon stuff, if it deals with the sequel trilogy movies, I don't give a shit. I didn't really like the movies. I still love Star Wars, but I'm not going to read a book about Captain Phasma who had a tiny bit of screen time, died like a bitch.
Well,
why do I
wait a
want to read a
second.
novel about her?
that book is the best of the sequel trilogy books.
I've heard that, but
Wait till they bring back Captain Phasma for season 3 of The Mandalorian, and you have a totally different mindset on her.
right.
Real quick, did I see something online the other day? And granted, Star Wars is great and all, but I'm not diehard.
Sure.
But I read somewhere the other day that they are going to Favreau is going to move forward without acknowledging that the other sequels existed or something along those lines.
Yeah, I've heard various rumors and stuff about that, but I don't know if that's official.
Okay, because I saw it the other day and I was like, oh okay,
right,
great.
Right.
I like what he's doing with Mandalorian. I like that show a lot. So all right,
I think because the time frame of what their story is with the Mandalorian and all the connected shows is going to happen before the sequel trilogy takes place. I think he's going to try to, or I think they're all going to try to tell the story without connecting it too deeply to the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
So my take on that is I look at the prequels, and for me, I probably had very much the same feelings about the prequels as people do about the sequel trilogy. Like, to me, it took me many, many years to appreciate it for what it was. And I think that, I'll be honest with you, Brandon, hearing somebody like you talk about how much you love the prequels, I get to experience it all new through folks like yours eyes. So all the things that I missed that just didn't connect with me as a fan, and I get to hear how it connected for other people. Who am I to sit here and shit on those movies and have a problem with them if other people love them as much as I love the originals? And I'm sure that we'll probably reach a point where there's a certain element of folks out there who maybe they have a sentimental attachment to the sequel trilogy. I personally don't think that will happen. I didn't have a problem with the sequel trilogy, but if you're going to tell me that Favreau is going to get the helm and be able to just kind of hey, just pay no attention to those 3 movies that
should I mind trick the whole entire Star Wars audience?
I mean, he could quite literally do digital Luke for 3 entire movies, and I don't think that there'd be a whole lot of people who would complain about it. Aside from the people who said you can do it better deep fake than the technology that they use.
Since we're talking about Star Wars here for a second, the fans that were younger when the prequels came out, they like it the way we liked the original ones, if that makes sense. I think, my nephew Aaron, when the Phantom Menace came out, he was 7, and that dude, he was like a chubby Darth Maul for the next 3 years. you know. I mean, dude was painting his face up, you know, and it looked horrible, but it was awesome though at the same time, you know. And I'm thinking, man, that movie sucked, dude, you know. But he loved it, you know. He loved it. Attack of the Clones, same thing. That dude was a clone trooper all of a sudden, you know. Revenge of the Sith came out, you know. Dude was like, I don't know, he was like 13 or something whenever that came out, you know, by that point, you know, and I mean, he was all about it, you know. You know, if you look back to when, you know, when we were kids, you know, I mean, I was even younger than that for the original trilogy, you know. And, you know, of course, we loved it and still love it, you know. So there's younger fans, you know, it's the same thing for them, you know. Yeah. And I'm assuming the young teens and teenagers and a little bit younger, they probably like the sequel trilogy that same way, you know. It just didn't do it for me, you know. It's still Star Wars. It's just not my Star Wars. And it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. So we actually had Frank's brother on a podcast a while back to talk all about Star Wars, since Frank is our resident non-Star Wars person.
True story.
And it was very much the same thing. He was a prequels kid, and it was, hey, who's your favorite Star Wars character? And he's rattling off folks from the prequel trilogy, and I'm just like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But again, it's not mine. I don't own it. If somebody connects with that content in a way that I wasn't able to, like, I'm super happy for them. And to me, the more people who have eyes and who have a passion for that type of product, they're going to pump more money into it, and that means that eventually they'll go back to telling stories in the timeline that I consider mine and that I'm the most comfortable with. Sean calling it out. Sean feels the same way. Kids played with clones and collected them. They had a cartoon-based. ST definitely won't have any. Sequel trilogy definitely won't have any nostalgia. I don't know. I felt the same way about the prequel trilogy. But Sean, you've mentioned it in the past as far as like the battle at the end with Obi-Wan and Anakin, like that just ripped your heart out and your girls were crying. Like I can't remember ever getting emotional in the original trilogy. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have that type of connection to the characters. They were part of my family, very much so. Had they have killed off Chewie, or had they kill off like Lando after he redeemed himself in Return of the Jedi, maybe I would have. Mm-hmm. But I find it so interesting because the kids knew what was going to happen. Like they knew Anakin was going to turn to the dark side, and there was going to be that battle before they even discussed a prequel trilogy. Everybody knew that it had to end with Obi-Wan and Anakin having a battle. So the fact that they were able to tell a story and evoke that type of emotional response from people who knew what was happening, like that just shows how brilliant the storytelling was, and that it was far beyond what I was witnessing at that time. So excellent. So go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to say, for me, I think I was raised in a time that like I'm able to, I was born in 1995. So I was 4 years old when The Phantom Menace came out. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to make me feel old.
Jesus Christ, man.
But my mom, who worked at a movie theater, she worked at an arcade. She's the one who basically, you know, brought me into all the geeky stuff, all the sci-fi, everything like that. Like, she's the badass that showed me Alien, showed me Indiana Jones, showed me Star Wars, all that stuff. I was going as an Ewok for Halloween when I was young, which is why I love them. But
no shame.
Yeah. So I was, you know, I was watching the original trilogy and growing up with that, and then I'd probably watched all those movies dozens of times before I even was introduced to The Phantom Menace. But I watched The Phantom Menace so many times after it came out on VHS that we had to get a second one because I melted the tape. And perfect. I'm one of those people who I have one of those like weird choices for a favorite character, and mine's Qui-Gon Jinn. I've got a hot toy of Qui-Gon Jinn down there. And some people look at me strange, but like, I was raised with the original trilogy. I was growing up during the prequel trilogy, and then I was, when did Force Awakens come out? Was that 2014?
Yeah, so you were like a late teenager when the sequel started.
My first year of college was The Force Awakens. So I went to that in the theaters, and I was able to appreciate that. So I think for me, I'm kind of one of those, like, I'd almost call it a unique age Star Wars fan, because it was like I was the right age. I was exposed to the things at the right times for me to honestly appreciate everything. The original trilogy is my favorite, followed very closely by the prequels because I grew up with it. And then the sequel trilogy, I loved it, but obviously I think just like everybody else, there are things that we wish that they had done differently, right? Sure. And that's okay. And my big thing, whenever anybody asks me stuff about that, like somebody left a comment on one of my videos, like, I still see you like you should get rid of your sequel trilogy stuff. And I was like, why would I do that? But for me, it's something that maybe my least favorite thing could be somebody's most favorite. And whenever there's a new Star Wars or any new project that comes out, it's an opportunity for a new fan to love it like we do. So that's why I do not crap on anything that comes out. Like, even though it's not my favorite thing, that could be what gets somebody into Star Wars. And yeah,
I hear you. I mean, I will respectfully disagree. To me, The Last Jedi just destroyed my childhood hero, and I don't give a shit what anybody says.
So to that point, Vern, I'll always be nostalgic for how the slow speed chase could have quickly ended if a ship just jumped from light speed ahead of the Resistance. Listen, we're not here to poke plot holes, okay? I mean, Han landed on a planet after jumping from light speed. Yes, again, poking plot holes. I try to take the approach of, when somebody tells me something, and I usually say, like, I think you're flipping crazy for having that type of opinion. I'll ask more questions like, well, what is it that you took out of that I definitely did not take from it? Because I would love to have that type of insight and be able to connect with it on that type of level.
Sure.
So we've spent some time talking Star Wars. Obviously, Star Wars was one of those movies where I must have had at least 4 different versions of it on VHS. And then the format changed, they switched, and there was a bit of a delay before we got some Star Wars DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
But so Brandon, you may not even remember what VHS is.
Oh, no. Hey, now.
Come on.
I just said I melted it by watching it so much.
Yeah.
Fair. I apologize. What were the first few movies that you can remember absolutely having to have on DVD?
On DVD.
On DVD?
Oh, geez.
I still have one of my first one was The Matrix.
AJ?
It was a kind of a staple DVD, wasn't it?
I think that's what I finally was able to convince my father to go and pony up for a DVD player was The Matrix. We've got to see this movie, The Matrix. And I think that might have been one of the first movies that I rented from Netflix, back when they were actually sending you a copy of the disc, and we watched it that way, and we liked it so much we went out and bought the thing, because my dad was super audio visual guy, and every time he had somebody over, he would fire up the lobby, the fight in the lobby with like all the guns and the bullet time and all that. And he would just jack up that audio and just blare it like you wouldn't believe. That was like the test, the demo reel for his home audio center.
Definitely.
The first 2 DVDs I ever owned, and this was circa, was it 2000? Roughly, yeah. Because I was freshman in college, and my buddy had a PlayStation 2, brought it up, and I bought American Psycho and Office Space. Those were the first
Office Space.
2 DVDs I ever owned: American Psycho and Office Space.
Nice.
American
Office Space is a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, classic. Great.
I mean, obviously I was pretty young, but the first DVD I remember is Shrek. And
Nice.
we got a big TV, we got a brand new DVD player with like the speaker system and everything, and we watched Shrek.
The Shrek.
Like, yeah.
That was some good computer animation for the time.
Yeah. And then I think shortly after that we got like the Lord of the Rings.
Shrek was awesome.
We got almost every.
I just wanted to show this real quick. Like, this was like the old school kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Not even in like a hard case. It was.
Nope.
You know.
It had like the paper, almost like cardboard. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like cardboard. I'm pretty sure this was the first DVD I bought.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was 2000. You know, yeah, I don't remember. It was like $400 for a DVD player or something.
Yeah, it was expensive. It was actually cheaper to get a PlayStation 2 than it was
exactly
a DVD player.
Exactly. And I remember I was living with this girl at the time, and I remember arguing with her. You know, like, dude, I want a DVD player. You know, I have this awesome surround sound system. You know, and you know, should we buy a PlayStation or should we just buy, you know, a DVD player? And she was like, well, if you want to get a DVD player, I'll give you like $100 towards it, but I'm not paying for a PlayStation 2 because I don't play games, and you're just going to spend all your time playing games. So we bought a DVD player. And then the next year I bought my own PlayStation, you know. But
she should have played that long game
shortly thereafter.
Oh,
hey, you know, whatever. But yeah, that first DVD, The Matrix. I mean, that was, like you said, man. People would come over, and that's what I would show. That was the only DVD I had for a little while, but that was awesome to show people. You know,
it was like a music video on steroids. I think Vern is saying that the music is Pile Driver, if that's the name of the song. It had a very, very much like a Chemical Brothers or Daft Punk, like electronica, just with the shotgun blasts, and Carrie Ann Moss just flipping around his Trinity, going ham on folks. Dude, that movie was just, we talk about sequels ruining movies and franchise.
Yeah.
Matrix Trilogy has to be one of the bigger letdowns from my perspective.
Yeah.
Sean calling out his first DVD was Operation Condor and Super Cop. Loved being able to skip to fight scenes. So those were both a couple Jackie Chan movies. There was a whole span in the 90s where, like, once Jackie Chan came over, those might have been a couple of my first movies that I saw of his as well. And then you go back and you start finding things like Drunken Master, and all the different Shaolin. Like, Wu-Tang was coming out at that same time, and so Wu-Tang was sampling like a bunch of those different the Hidden Chambers or the Nine Chambers and all those different old school kung fu movies. Made you have to go back, and instead of busting out DVDs, you had to go find like little Asian shops that sold like import VHS tapes that were just unbelievably good. So I totally get Super Cop and Operation Condor. Vern, first DVD, Fifth Element.
Do you guys still have VHS tapes?
I don't have a single one.
I do.
No, I'm sorry. I take that back. I have 2. I have Nightmare Before Christmas on VHS, and I have Jurassic Park on VHS. Those are the 2 that I have.
I've got a bunch of Disney movies that my wife had that she will not allow me to get rid of. And I think that's good, because I think the Disney movies right now, if you've got them in the clamshells, the big white Buena Vista boxes, I think there's a little bit of a resurgence on the secondary market for those.
Yep.
So if she's not watching this, I may try to sell those. We'll see. I also have like the Star Wars Holiday Special and a couple old like the Terry Funk, Mick Foley, FMW, the hardcore deathmatch stuff from over in Japan,
Right.
which I still have those on VHS. I don't think I have a VHS player, so I don't know how I'd ever watch them.
Yeah. Strangely enough, I don't remember what year it was, but I saw it on the news one time that, hey, Walmart is going to stop carrying VHS players. If you want one, you need to go get one. And I went and I found one. It was like $23 or something, you know. So I still have one.
Nice.
Though without having a analog to digital converter, you can't hook it up to your flat screens.
Nope.
So yeah, it's kind of pointless, unless I go buy that. It's only a couple bucks, but I still have, I don't know,
There
50,
it is.
60 VHS tapes. I have that one.
Nice.
I have that one too.
I think I've got that one that I could probably go grab. Yeah, funny.
I think you mentioned it. I have those.
Here, I'll pose a question then. So we're breaking out VHS tapes. What is the film that you have purchased the most across platforms?
Ooh,
Star Wars for me.
it probably has to be Star Wars, I would say as well. Yeah, because I had
I've
at
to buy it
least
multiple times.
Yeah, I had at least 4 different copies, I think, on VHS.
Yeah.
Mine's the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because you've got theatrical, extended, Blu-ray of the theatrical, Blu-ray of the extended.
I haven't bought that on Blu-ray. I have the extended edition that they came in like a book looking.
Yep.
And that's all I have,
I had there. See,
I have that too.
That thing looks sealed. Is that thing
still sealed?
Oh, come on, Brandon.
Nice.
I've got another one that's open. They're downstairs next to the VHS player.
I mean, look, that's essentially at this point, that's a paperweight. And I don't have a problem with you having it whatsoever. I'm actually kind of upset that I got rid of mine, but it's pretty slick. What about you, Bonds? What's the movie that you've purchased more than any other?
Me is the 1993 Tim Burton classic, Nightmare Before Christmas. I had it on VHS, and then I bought it on DVD. Then I bought a Blu-ray, and then I bought it digital, and then I bought it 4K. So that's the most I've had of a movie. Nightmare Before Christmas. Love it.
Wow.
It's my go-to.
That DVD was like really tough to find for a while because like I think they released it like really early on in DVD lifespan, and then it was like one of those movies that went into the Disney vault and they very rarely made it available.
Mm-hmm.
That was a gimmick and a half.
Yeah, I've got the DVD that says Touchstone on it.
Huh.
I was going to say, didn't they do a release of a certain anniversary? Because I think that's how I have it.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yep. So actually, I guess technically I have 7 different copies of it because I've got the OG one.
So that movie was one that it didn't connect with me like when it first came out. Like Tim Burton was cool. He was the Batman guy for me, but like all the rest of his movies, Edward Scissorhands, whatever. I really liked Mars Attacks. But I didn't get an appreciation for Nightmare Before Christmas until probably like the last 2-3 years. I went back and actually sat down and watched it. And I don't know so much as I have an appreciation of it as opposed to what in God's name is The Nightmare Before Christmas? That movie is all kinds of batshit crazy.
What's funny is Tim Burton, in looking back at that movie, spent very little time doing anything with that movie. Actually, I think he was in the middle of Batman Returns when all that, when they started to kind of put all that stuff together. So he's really kind of, producer by name on that thing, and he gets a lot of credit, but it's not really his flick.
I remember going to see it in the theater.
Yeah, me too.
What was I, 10th or 11th grade, and we got stoned out of our minds and went.
AJ, I'm so glad that you said that, because I was going to ask how stoned you were when you went to see that, because I can't imagine.
We were baked.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Vern saying it looks like he's had Star Wars on more platforms than any. Sean, 55 Jackie Chan movies at one point. That is an impressive feat.
It's a diehard.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Sean's big time into anime, though. I know that, so that checks out.
How about this? We had Betamax at our house.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had Star Wars on Betamax also.
Wow.
VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu Ray, and digital.
Yeah. I think AJ, I think you might win.
I had a buddy, and we got really hot and heavy into like collecting movie and trying to be like students of film. So we were buying, like, it was still VHS days, but anytime there'd be like a Criterion release, we would have to have like the Criterion collection of whatever movie it was. There were so many movies, and they're fine movies, but looking back on them, like, why in God's name did I waste money on a Criterion cut of like The Longest Day, or just stuff like that, where like it.
My buddy Justin, he is all about that Criterion collection, and I'm like, dude, you never watched that movie to begin with, like what, but hey, whatever.
Vern saying that he saw a big brawl at a drive-in on the roof of a station wagon. Drive-ins, hey, thank you, COVID, for bringing back the drive-ins.
God bless drive-ins.
Yeah,
I would love to hear that story one time, Vern. You'll have to talk us up on that one in the near future.
I've never been to a drive-in.
Oh
no,
God!
I was going to when I lived in Minneapolis. There was one that I was going to go see the remake of The Lion King. I was going to see that, and then I forget what the other movie right after it was, because they played one right after the other. But it was like the weather would never match up. And
yeah.
I imagine it's probably a lot better now. Like, you could probably tune the radio and like get the audio to come in a lot more clear than what it used to be. But I remember one of the first movies I saw that I remember seeing is my parents took us to see Arthur. Remember the Arthur movie with Dudley Moore?
Yeah.
I remember going to see that at a drive-in, and we had like the little metal box that you had to set on the inside of your window.
You couldn't even tune into an actual station. You had to set that thing right there on the side of your car.
Yeah. The first time I ever remember doing the digital tuner thing was like to connect my Walkman to my radio, and you had to have like, there was either the cassette with the cord on it that you would put in and be able to connect, or if you were really fancy, you'd have that digital tuner and you'd have to tune to like 88.7, which here in Southeast Michigan was always kind of a crapshoot, because one of the radio stations was 88.7 and it would bleed over into it. So it was like, good times.
Dude, Walkmans, those disappeared at some point.
Walkmans, Discmans, Anymans, gone.
Yeah. But man, they were so cool if you had those back in the day, I had that yellow Sony Sport one, a Walkman, and dude, that was the coolest thing, man. You could go out in the rain, get it wet. Nothing bothered that thing, and it had auto reverse on it. If you guys remember that.
Oh yeah.
The tape would flip and just play.
And it would automatically flip over for you. Like, that always boggled my mind. It's like, wait a second, it flipped over, but I didn't actually flip the tape over. How is the technology able to do that? Makes no sense.
How about the money, the amount of money you cost your parents when you actually bought a Discman, especially when you put it on the anti-skip mode?
Right.
Thing would last for about, an hour. And all of a sudden you'd have to replace those batteries.
Oh, God, I forgot all about having to replace the batteries in that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Strangely enough, my 18-year-old niece has my old Discman, and she uses it still at her house.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah. That thing's got to be pushing 20 years old. But she doesn't have a stereo I don't know why, but when she wants to play a disc, that's what she uses.
Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So, Sean, my first drive-in it was Death Wish. Don't even remember. I was so little.
Wow.
Sean, how little were you going to see Death Wish? My goodness.
Jesus, God. Where are your parents?
Wait, what year was that?
I need a word with them.
They probably took him.
Yeah, exactly. I need a word.
Yeah, wasn't that like 73 or 74 when Death Wish came out?
I could see Sean's parents being Charles Bronson as his father. Come on, we're going to take you to see my movie. It'll be good times. I was 7. Damn. You'd never get away with that in this day and age. People would be up in arms you took a 7-year-old in to see Death Wish. Didn't they just remake Death Wish?
Yeah. I think
Feels like they did.
Oh, he brought up another thing, a boombox. Yeah. You don't, I mean, everybody had one of those back in the day, too.
Yep.
My first big boombox, I remember.
When did they quit selling those, man? Probably 10, 12 years ago. They kind of went out. Maybe longer.
Probably more than that, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached this point, like with technology, where everything gets smaller. So the fact that, like, you have, I mean, literally, you can have a Bluetooth speaker that puts out better audio than some of those boom boxes did, and they're the size of a cup. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
No, exactly. I mean, my kids, like, there's Alexas in every single one of our rooms, and my kids just tell Alexa to play a song, and they play it. Like,
Yeah.
They don't understand what it was like when we were younger.
Right.
It's good, though. I mean, look, as many problems as I have with technology, and, like, it can certainly be frustrating at times, my life is so much better. The fact that I've got my smart home wired up as smart as it is, and just being able to tell her to turn off the lights and take care of everything around the house. So despite all of its challenges and its efforts, I'm not the super paranoid person who's afraid that they're going to be spying on me in my home.
They are.
Yeah. What are they going to do? They're trying to sell me stuff. I don't have a problem buying anything. You know,
it's always listening. Yep.
Your phone's tracking where you're at. You know, so everybody who's concerned about any overreach in any area of your life, you're already giving people more information than you probably realize you're giving them.
True.
So if it makes your life easier at the end of the day, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
So
speaking about that, no, it wasn't Alexa. It was on YouTube. I tried to find a Jimi Hendrix song, and it's not on there. And so I went to YouTube Music then, not even on there. And I was like, wow, that's weird. Like, you know, it's Jimi Hendrix. Like, how is it not there?
That's strange.
Not there at all.
What was it?
It's called 1983. It's on Electric Ladyland.
Okay.
Not there. It's just
Off
not there.
Electric Ladyland, and it's not on there? That's weird.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And luckily I still had the CD. You know, I went and threw the CD in, but it was just, it popped in my head one day, and I was like, dude, I want to hear that song, you know, and YouTube. Nope.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I'm scanning for it now, and I do not see it anywhere.
There's like a couple like covers of it, you know, some random Joe Blow band playing it that sounds like crap, but not the actual song. I was kind of surprised. because there's a lot of like really obscure music that is out there, you know, that you wouldn't expect. Yeah, what is that playing on?
Spotify.
Oh,
No,
Spotify. Okay.
That's Apple Music. It's on there. So it's in iTunes.
Well, I don't have that, so.
I found it on Amazon Music. It's on there too.
It's like 1983 ...
I should be. ...
A merman I should turn
Yeah.
be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool song.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't on YouTube, and I was like, wow, that's really weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
Well, I know a lot of the people who like the Beatles for the longest time weren't on there, like on iTunes and things like that. So if they don't have a record deal that allows for streaming, then a lot of that stuff gets shut down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I ended up looking it up, and I guess, I don't know if it's Jimi Hendrix's widow or one of his children, they only gave rights to like certain albums to be out there like that. And part of Electric Ladyland is out there, but that song, they didn't give the rights for some reason.
It's weird.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Probably all comes down to money, if I had to venture a guess.
Yeah.
All right. We are at about an hour and a half. How you guys feeling? Want to keep forging on?
Yeah, man. I'm good.
Bonds?
I'm golden.
Okay.
The rest of the house is asleep. The EONZ is up.
Well, then let's mix in a little bit more toy talk, and I wanted to show you guys something interesting that I found in my travels this week. This.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So this is a Cobra Rattler. This is by a company called Forever Clever. Manufactured right here in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. The only thing that I'm really kind of bent out of shape about is they've got this awesome picture of Wild Weasel piloting the Rattler, and yet you do not get a Wild Weasel.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. But you do get Cobra Commander and Destro, which I was super stoked about. So I think I am going to, at some point in the very near future, do a video in which I assemble said Cobra Rattler. Because why the heck not?
It looked kind of like a Mega Bloks brand.
Yeah, it's definitely an off type brand.
Huh.
But I mean, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Why not?
I found this at Marshall's, and I only paid $15 for it. So
okay, steal.
Yeah. Figure why not? How about you guys? Anything interesting that you heard from San Diego Comic-Con? Any drops that you guys are going to be pre-ordering? Nothing?
No.
Fonz, are you familiar with what San Diego Comic-Con is?
I mean, I know when the con comes around that new toys tend to drop. So, yes, I'm very familiar. Although I haven't myself personally scoped it out. So is there anything that I might like at all?
Well, I sent you the Jurassic Park, the Ray Arnold, the 3 3/4 inch, the Attack of the Velociraptors with the Sam Jackson figure. That was pretty sweet.
You did send me. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, so I thought that might be up your alley.
Yes.
Aside from that, Three Men and a Monkey Lizard also talked about there are, can't think of the company that's putting them out, but there's some of the cereal monsters. They've got Frankenberry and Count Chocula as 6-inch figures, and they come in like the retro cereal box packaging.
That's pretty cool.
And they're only $25. It looks like they're just releasing the first 2. If I had to venture a guess, you'll definitely get Blueberry down the road at some point, and maybe a Fruit Brute or a Yummy Mummy to throw in along with it. Those will be really cool. I think I may end up ordering those 2. I really like the cereal monsters. Those are some of my favorite, like, pop culture type ad characters. And they've got little Funkos of them and things like that. I've got little tiny mini, like the Ad Icon blind boxes that they brought out. But I
You've
wouldn't
got
mind
art
having
of a lot of the cereal monsters in your basement too, right?
I do, yeah.
Seen.
Like I've got like a pinup, like Frankenberry done as a pinup girl. So
Oh wow.
yeah, that's a little bit different. It's a little fun, but those characters were something that chubby little me would sit there just like spoon in one hand, reading the cereal boxes over my breakfast cereal every morning, doing the mazes and stuff like that on the back of the box. So that was a little fun for me.
Real quick, did I see that they were coming out with something? Maybe it's for this Halloween, or maybe it came out already. I don't know. But like where they combined all the cereals, all the monster cereals into one. Is that something that's coming out?
Yeah, so I think they did. I feel like they did that last year. It was like called the Monster Mash, and I think that they're also bringing it back this year.
Okay, because I didn't have it last year, but yeah, so they're bringing it back.
I'm pretty sure that maybe. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm getting it confused. Didn't they have like a whole Kellogg's one where they had like Frosted Flakes and Apple Jacks, and they put like a bunch of those in, and that was like a mashup. And now this year, I think they're doing the cereal monsters, but they're calling it Monster Mash. Yeah.
Sounds like we need another Nostalgia Wax cereal episode where we eat cereals.
I've given up cereals for the most part. I'm on to the Magic Spoon cereals.
Well, I think you can. Didn't we just take a bite of cereal? I think we could do that.
I could probably, yeah. I can.
We could get away with that. You'd be okay.
It's a slippery slope. I mean, listen, if I had my choice right now between a monster cereal and heroin, I feel that there's less risk with me injecting some heroin as opposed to me just sitting there and going to town with a box of Frankenberry, because I'd wreck that thing. I would absolutely go to town on some Frankenberry right about now. Favorite breakfast cereal, Frank?
Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs, without a doubt. As soon as those came into my life, prior to that, it would have been when Rice Krispies came out with the Rice Krispies Treats cereal. That was great. And then as a kid, it would have been Corn Pops. So I went from Corn Pops to Rice Krispie Treat cereal to Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs. But I haven't had Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs in probably 2 years now. So it's been quite some time.
What about you guys? Brandon?
Oh, Reese's Puffs, like the childhood right there. I remember the song on the TV, like, oh my goodness. I ate so many of those.
Peanut butter chocolate, great when separate. When they combine, they make the morning time epic.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know what the hell just happened here.
Okay, but try just straight up normal Rice Krispies and pour like chocolate milk in them.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Mine was Frosted Flakes and chocolate milk.
Oh. And then did you ever dabble into the actual chocolate Frosted Flakes when they came out with that?
I think I did the chocolate Frosted Flakes with chocolate milk once, and like I just kind of wasn't impressed with the chocolate Frosted
Not
Flakes.
the same.
What about you, AJ?
Well, Honey Bunches of Oats.
Honey Bunch. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Like growing up, you know, in the 80s with all those awesome cereals, my dad was like, no, you guys are not allowed to eat that stuff. So we never got to eat that stuff unless we went to like somebody else's house, you know. My dad ate Total. That was the only cereal we ever had in the house.
Total. It's such a dad cereal.
Yeah, for real, dude. I mean, I hated eating that shit. You know? And we would put like 5 spoons of sugar on it.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
To try to,
defeating the purpose of the Total.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is I guarantee those Honey Bunches of Oats that you ate. Check the sugar content. Guaranteed, the sugar content was probably the same as Frosted Flakes.
Right.
Like the other day, I was looking at because my kids are obsessed. For some reason, they don't love sugar cereals like I did as a kid. They just don't. So they eat the Special K, chocolate delight, whatever. Okay.
Right.
I was looking at that sugar content in Special K chocolate delight compared to a box of Lucky Charms. Same sugar content.
Right.
Same sugar content.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Like right now we have Fruit Loops, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, what's the Cocoa Pebbles?
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cheerios, Honey Bunches of Oats, and Cheeros. If you guys have seen those, they're made like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, they're the Cinnamon Toast Crunch spin-offs.
Right.
Yeah.
My kids love cereal, and because my dad didn't let us have Lucky Charms, I'm like, yeah, man, let's get some.
Right.
You know,
Loki Charms.
those are cool. I've never seen that one.
What? Wait, hold on. Let me see those, Brandon.
It was for the Loki show. This is like one of my prized possessions now. I'm trying to get a box protector for it because they made. What did they make? Was it 3,000 of these?
Yeah, lock that shit up.
Oh wow.
Absolutely.
And they said it wouldn't be released in the stores, and I missed the pre-orders for it twice, even though I did the right thing on the website. But then they emailed me saying, "Hey, we noticed you missed out on this. Would you still like a box?" So I said, "Yeah."
Yes.
Yeah.
Click yes for yes.
Yep. So
that's cool.
That's really cool.
Kind of sad that I am not going to eat the cereal in there, but
it's Lucky Charms. You're
not missing out.
Yeah,
right.
Very much so. That's awesome, man. That'll be one of those things. Like 10 years from now, you'll forget you even have it, but if you looked it up, you'll be like, I'm glad I got those Loki Charms because they're worth quite a bit.
That's me with my I think I've got like 6 boxes of Justin Verlander flakes up in my attic.
Wow.
Up in your attic? I'd go get them out of the attic because there's going to be some kind of critters going to town. Going 90 mile an hour fastball.
Hold on.
Verlander's from my hometown, or where I live.
I'll tell you something else I have.
Yeah, he's from down. He's
from Chesterfield, which is like right across the river from Richmond. So
I hated the fact that like Justin Verlander was my guy as a Detroit Tiger fan.
There's something else I bought a while ago just to keep. This,
yep.
Oh yeah, shine. I remember that.
Do shine,
dude. That's cool.
Is that like clear Mountain Dew?
Yeah, it's like clear Mountain Dew. And on eBay the other day, I saw it was going for like $350 for if you have this whole thing by itself.
Nice.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
I remember seeing it in the store, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy that because I feel like these glass bottles of this clear Mountain Dew do shine. Maybe in the future will be worth something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 of them.
How stuff like that is, worth something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just can't think of any soda where I would justify paying $3.50 for a 4-pack of old soda.
What about
super collectors?
The Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah.
Crystal Pepsi, I don't need it that bad. I lived Crystal Pepsi. It wasn't good enough to survive out of the 90s or whatever it was. So I do not need to go back and revisit that area of my life. Yeah. I have no need for a clear beverage that I can smuggle vodka into my high school class.
I have random sodas like that are made by, those small mom and pop, companies. What's that game? Fallout. They had a soda.
Nuka-Cola, yep.
Yeah, Nuka-Cola. I have some of those and a Final Fantasy soda. I didn't drink them, I just got them because I thought, Nuka-Cola because it's just kind of cool, So I got a couple bottles,
rocket shaped bottle.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Did Nuka have like, was it somewhat glowing, or were there some areas because the game was the Fallout, it was irradiated or whatever?
There was a quantum Nuka-Cola.
Quantum Nuka-Cola.
Like the yellow, or not yellow, but like a whitish glowing one.
So a dude at work, he had some kind of little base that had a light bulb in it, and the Nuka-Cola fit right on it, and it looked like it was glowing,
Nice.
So people would walk by and see his desk and be like, "Oh man, what is that?" Good conversation starter, and nerd cred, I guess.
Nuka-Cola, the Fallout.
Right. Yeah. He's gonna whip out a box of them.
I don't.
Fallout's a gaming franchise I wouldn't mind going back and revisiting.
Fallout's good. Fallout 3 was really good. Fallout 4 was a little disappointing to me, and I haven't played any of the Fallout 76. Haven't played any of that.
Have you played New Vegas?
I love New Vegas.
Okay.
New Vegas is a great game.
Yeah.
New Vegas was the one after 3, and then after New Vegas, then 4, and then 76, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, New Vegas was done by what, Obsidian? Is that right there? Did Obsidian do New Vegas?
Or was it still
No.
Bethesda.
No.
Bethesda.
What's it? I can't think of what's their names. Wasn't Obsidian?
Wasn't it Bethesda or something like that?
No. God, they're the same team that made the Outer Worlds. I can't think of their names right now.
Obsidian.
It is Obsidian. Okay, yeah. So Obsidian did do New Vegas. Yeah, that's right.
I think I have New Vegas in my library, but I don't think I've ever played it that long. I think Fallout 3 as well. Fallout 3 actually killed my PlayStation 3.
I would have thought Skyrim would have killed your PlayStation 3.
It killed my first PlayStation 4. Fallout 3 killed my PlayStation 3, and then Skyrim killed my PlayStation 4.
Bethesda titles didn't play well with Sony.
They were awesome. I loved playing them. Enjoyed the hell out of them. So much so that I obviously killed my systems. And then when I went back and I purchased new system, there was always that fear in the back of my head that if I go back in and play this, am I going to kill my system all over again?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of trepidation. And I don't think I ever technically finished Fallout 3. But I wouldn't mind doing it.
It's good.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was in Fallout 3.
Yeah, he was.
Love me some Liam Neeson.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
Skyrim might be one of those games where it's like that might be the game that I own the most copies of.
I was gonna say, what's the game you own the most copies of? Yeah, probably Skyrim.
Yeah.
I at least have Skyrim on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR because you talked me into that gimmick.
Hey, that's still fun. Have you played it in VR lately?
Hell no. I have not picked up a controller to play a video game in ages that was not like Apple Arcade or a mobile type game, anything like that. My grandkid jacked up both of my PlayStation controllers, so I need to replace those. And if anybody has tried searching out controllers lately, you can't touch a controller for retail at all. They just don't exist, apparently. So it drives me nuts, and I'm not going to, because I don't play video games enough, I'm not going to go out and splurge and buy a PS5 just solely to get a new controller.
Sure.
I can't bring myself to do that.
Fair enough.
What about you, Bonds? Did you upgrade to the new systems?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, I haven't. I'm still rocking my PS4 and my PSVR and my Xbox One, my Day One edition Xbox One. Still rocking that, and I'm fine. I'm good right now. I don't. Would I love to upgrade? Yes. Just load times alone, from what I've heard, but I don't have the need right now. I'm good.
So Brandon does a lot of streaming video games. Brandon, what do you stream on, and are you looking at upgrading if you haven't already done so?
No, mine's I'm still using the base PS4. I usually wait about 2 years into a console before I get it, and usually I try to get the base model at a good bundle deal, and then I'm pretty much set. So like I have an external hard drive plugged in my PlayStation 4, so I don't have to. It's like a 4 terabyte, so I don't have to worry about not having enough space for games. But it has run every game really well, and especially after playing Skyrim on Xbox 360 and PS3 and stuff. The load times do not bother me because usually I'm doing something else at the same time as I play a game. So I stream from my base PlayStation, and the way that I look at it is the game catalog for the PlayStation 5 is not extensive enough yet for me to say I could upgrade, and then I know I can transfer all my games over and play on the PlayStation 5 and have everything be improved, but I just between it being hard to get and the cost of it, that initial cost of it, I'm fine with waiting another year or so.
I'm with you, Brandon. I have not seen a reason to push me forward to buying either a PS5 or an Xbox One X or Series X. Sorry, there's nothing there that makes me want to get one.
Do you have a 4K TV yet?
Mm-mm.
Nope. See, I don't have a 4K TV either, so I'm like, it's kind of pointless. It's like buying a Corvette or something and only taking it on residential streets. Like you never take it out of your subdivision to really see what it can do.
I have 1, 2, 3. I think we have 4 4K TVs.
Wow.
But I mean, I have a gigabit switch, so I can stream 4K. But I don't have a 4K player though.
Right.
So Brandon, when you do you said you got an external hard drive for your PS4. Do you leave that connected all the time, just through the USB, or?
Yep.
Is there any kind of lag, like loading games off it? Do you have to load the games onto the hard drive at all, or it just plays them directly from the external hard drive?
Yep, it plays it directly from.
And there's no lag.
Not that I've noticed at all. No, especially with the USB 3 and how good those external hard drives are now. It is like I was playing Marvel Spider-Man a couple weeks ago, and it didn't seem like it was playing any slower than when I played it off the regular system.
No.
And you've just got like a standard off-the-shelf external hard drive that connects through the USB. There's no power source to it or anything like that?
No, it's a Seagate 4 terabyte USB 3.
So for my PlayStation 3...
I literally have the same exact Seagate.
Yeah.
I think I do too.
For my PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation 4, I had originally upgraded to install a hard drive into the unit, because that was like one of the big selling points for me as far as like those later model Sonys. So I have never done the external hard drive, and I was always a little bit nervous that there might be some lag, but it's interesting that you say that there isn't. So I might have to
there's not.
The next time I see a good sale. I just recently picked up like a 2 terabyte Western Digital on sale at Best Buy for like $40 or something like that. It was super dirt cheap, so I grabbed it because with my 3D printing and all that, some of those 3D printing models can be pretty big. So I grabbed it. I was going to do, I've got one one external hard drive that I currently use primarily for photos, and I didn't want to tie that up with 3D models, so I bought a separate one for that. But maybe I'll get an extra one just strictly to put all my games on, because that does get a little bit frustrating when you max out your hard drive for your PlayStation.
Yeah.
What's sad is that I've maxed out my my huge Seagate, my terabyte Seagate, along with the Xbox One here. And actually, just last night I had to unload a ton of games just so I could download Death's Door. Was the game I downloaded last night to start playing. But yeah, it's frustrating when you have that much space, but then you've already filled that much space with your 560 some odd games.
Well, it just becomes like the new normal. That like it's the same thing as me with my phone. Like if I'm shooting videos and stuff like that, I'm constantly having to like purge videos off my phone so I can shoot and edit an iVideo and stuff like that. So yeah, I can totally understand how if you just become accustomed to downloading everything and it's there at your fingertips on your hard drive, that you take it for granted until you actually hit that limit, and then it becomes that fire drill of having to delete stuff.
What's stupid is I've got all those games, but let's say 568 games. I play maybe, I don't know, 2 of them. Why do I need all of those sitting there taking up my drive space? But it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't want to remove it. I just want it to stay there. What if I feel a need to go
someday
back and play Psychonauts? No, you
right.
Why?
Yeah,
Psychonauts might have been like the last game that I actually remember defeating. That was a lot of fun. Loved me some Psychonauts.
It's a good game.
Tim Schafer, right?
Yep, double.
The underwater fish level like creeped me out as a kid.
Why wouldn't it?
There's a lot of stuff in that game that creeps me out. You talk about like Tim Burton weird, like Psychonauts is up there.
Yeah,
that was a fun game.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that. All right, guys. Well, we are at 2 hours. I think for our inaugural stream, bringing back the Nostalgia Wax podcast as a live stream and having some excellent guests in the house with AJ from Third Floor Toys and our good friend Brandon, Apprentice Ewok. Make sure you subscribe to both of their YouTube channels. Bonds is not on YouTube. He is on Twitter and the Book of Faces.
the Twitter.
If you'd like to find him, we'll see what happens with the Nostalgia Wax podcast going forward. But hopefully, if you are listening to this on iTunes, all works well, and in the future we may do some more of these streams. We will set a date and time for us to start doing this on a regular basis, and hopefully we'll have more cool guests.
I was a big fan of the stream, not going to lie. I loved it.
It was fun. It's good times. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So if you guys enjoy it as well, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, make sure to go back and enter my Miss Minutes drawing, because if you watch, like, subscribe, all that good stuff on my Miss Minutes video, you will have a chance to win one of these. Drawing is going through July 31st. So please make sure to go and check out my video. Aside from that, any last words, y'all?
Appreciate you having me. It was fun. Good conversation.
Yeah,
I'm glad I could hop on.
Most definitely. Frank, you know how we do it.
Until next time, Waxers.
Wax off.
Thanks, fellas. AJ